Hey, folks! So guess what? Guess what time it is? Yes, right. The NFL season is back on us, and guess what? You know your man was there at NRG Stadium today. So guess, and without further ado, we can ready to jump into this. But before I do, and like I told you, I had a surprise for you. So right now, what we're getting ready before I bring the guys in the Texans today. They didn't win, but they didn't lose. If you sit there and say that it was a tie, yep, that's exactly what happened. The Texans and the Indianapolis Colts tied today, even though the Colts were highly favored. But taking everything into consideration, hey, we got to take it like it is. But before we do that, we got to have a word from our sponsors. So, and we are very appreciative of this. So let's word from our sponsor before we jump into the Texans whole deal.
Hello, I'm Ken Ross with the Ken Ross Insurance Agency. There are certain things that are important in our lives: our health, our safety, and our loved ones. With over 40 years of experience, I've seen just how important insurance can be. I value the importance of being a part of my community and being there when they need me. Insurance is important everywhere, but being here in South Texas, it is absolutely essential. From flood, home, auto, and life insurance, let the Ken Ross Agency be your agency of choice.
And that's right, folks. That's our man, Ken Ross, the Ken Ross Agency. Numbers right there, and we'll highlight them again in a few minutes. But we sort of like stepping out there. Not quite ESPN yet, but guess what? Who cares? but without further ado, as I mentioned earlier, the Texans today, they didn't win, they didn't lose. And all preceding commentary has nothing to do with the Dawes decision. Because we done heard all these stories about, or ties like kissing your sister and all this other. Well, we're not going to go into any of the ancestral type things that's normally associated with it. But without further ado, I'm gonna. He just jumped away. Quick comments from the coach and his whole forte as to why did we opt for the tie when there was an opportunity for them to come on and win the game today?
It is by playing field position, us not turning the ball over, especially in a favorable position, which we did. So those are things you have to clean up from week 1 to 2 that can cost you. If not cost you with the loss, at least force you to tie.
Yep. Well, like I said, they opted not to take the loss today, even though the Texans were up today, 20-3, and they were up 20-3 going for about 3 quarters, and for the most part, they kept Jonathan Taylor at bay, even though he finished today. I want to say around about 65, 70 yards. I had to go back and double check that again. He had over 30 carries today. They worked him. They worked him hard today. But, without further ado, the man on the road, the man from Gilmer, the Gilmer Mirror, Elwin Henderson, who just, like me, was sitting down watching the Texans today. Elwin, number one, thanks for being back on. We got another season together. Your initial thoughts on the tie?
Well, it's been known for years. Everybody always said a tie is like kissing your sister. But in this case, I would have to disagree with that for one reason. Yes, the Texans didn't take care of business in the fourth quarter like they would have liked to have. But at the same time, you and I both thought when the Colts lined up for that field goal of 42 yards, it was over.
Absolutely.
And so they thought they were going to, all the fans thought they were going to lose. We thought they were going to lose, and they didn't lose. So from that respect, I don't think it's as bad as a normal tie would have been. Now, it was obvious that Lovie Smith and Davis Mills and the whole team are very disappointed, as they should be, because they had an opportunity to close that thing out and didn't get it done. But at the same time, a tie is always going to be better than a that they didn't.
Yeah, I concur. I concur, Elwin. Let me just correct myself real quick. Jonathan Taylor today, 31 carries, 161 yards. He was averaging 5.2 a carry. And and going into the really, I guess around about the third quarter, they had him around about 20 some carries at about 80, 88, 89 yards. And guess what? That the scoring drive, he probably popped off a clip of probably about every 5 to 6 yards every time you look up Jonathan Taylor. So I thought for the most part the Texans defense, and particularly Jerry Hughes, who I thought, I mean, if we had to give out a game ball right now, my game ball goes to Jerry Hughes, because Jerry Hughes basically epitomized. I thought I was back in Orchard Park last year, because Jerry Hughes, that interception he got off of Matt Ryan was almost similar to that pass play he done in the first quarter when the Texans got a turnover, was driving against the Buffalo Bills, and he deflected a ball that who knows what might have happened. The Texans probably still was going to get their clocks plowed. But anyway, Jerry Hughes stood up big, and so he had 2 sacks today, an interception, and let's face it, man. If we can get that consistency all the way across, and I'm not putting any part of the defense down, but it's like Lovey alluded to it today. They got gassed in the end, and so we wondering, and you and I always say that really true NFL football is probably about after that third ball game in September before you finally start seeing these guys roaming into shape. Your comments, Elwood?
Yeah, I agree with you totally, AD, and of course, as you and I and all of my friends that I've talked to the NFL about agree, I don't really think the players wanted it in this latest agreement with the NFL the way it is. But I think a lot of this getting gassed and not being ready to start the season is because of the fact they can only have pads once a week for the most part, and the fact that they can't have 2-a-days at the beginning of training camp anymore. And I honestly think even if you do play, as Lovey did, and to his credit, your starters a little in each of the games and a little bit more each game, they're just not prepped and ready to go until about that third week of the season.
Yeah. Like I said, third week, you start to see, I guess that fourth ball game, which they will have here at home, you're probably starting to see rounding in the shape. Okay, we're starting to look at NFL football. For the most part, I think we saw NFL football for about 3 quarters, and all of a sudden, both teams. This is not just the Texans who were gassed. I think the Indianapolis Colts today, they were sucking wind too. It was a lot of wind sucking on both sides. So, the thing about it, the NFL gonna charge you full price for a game that theoretically should probably be your fourth preseason game. Everybody rounding in shape. But this is part of the collective bargaining season that they have with the Players Association. And, guys say we're professional. Yeah, there's a certain thing in being in shape out of pads, but there's a different shape when you are in pads. Yes. And anybody who has played this game at any point in their life and when turn around and look at it, and they say, well, they're protecting their investments. Okay. But you invest, but the fans invest a lot into these games too, and I think they are deserving of seeing 4 quarters of football, if not, and really by time 5 quarters of football, because between Frank Reich and Lovie Smith today, I think it got to a point that and then you mentioned that 42-yard field goal that went wide. Yep. Because we were both sitting there, okay, well, they gave a good fervent effort. And in a couple of comments in the press box, I think they might have wanted to lose this game, because it was a lot of hard feelings with the fact that they wound up in a tie, especially when you played another 10 minutes. The Texans got the opening kickoff, and the thing about it, here's where the kicking game would benefit. The Texans had an opening kickoff when the kickoff went out of bounds twice, not once but twice.
Right.
The ball is placed at the 40. So basically, all you got to do is go 60 yards or go get in the range of Kami Fairbairn. And neither one of those times they were able to take advantage of the opportunity today. So it's like, excuse me, it's like Lovey stated. A lot of this is gonna get cleaned up, and we're gonna see some things from week 1 to week 2. But I'm not advocating somebody need to run some sprints, but somebody need to run some sprints. Anyway, comments, Elwin?
Yeah, I would totally agree with you. And the one thing that I noticed, AD, and I know you did too, I think we talked about that a little bit a couple times there in the fourth quarter. I don't really know what happened, and Lovey didn't seem to think there was a lot of changing in what the Colts were doing offensively, but it seemed like on the 3 possessions of the Colts in that late third and throughout the fourth quarter, it seemed like every single play they called, they found gaps in the Houston defense, and that was not the case for the better part of 3 quarters. So obviously, they found something on the offensive side that they changed that the Texans never figured out, which is a little frustrating, to make changes to make sure it didn't happen. And it was play after play. Taylor running, passes. They had 8 or 10 yards every single play, it seemed like, there in the latter part of the last quarter and a half.
You know what's I'm gonna tell you, well, one thing I picked up on, and I know that the Texans, they're big on rotating they defensive linemen.
Yep.
They gave the tackle some help with Jerry Hughes, because Jerry was having a field day in that wide 9 and coming off the ball,
Yep.
but they start chipping him. They start putting giving him a tight end and start chipping him. But that means that, and in fact, I noticed a couple of times, and on third down situations, they actually flip flop between him and Jonathan Grenier. They literally flip flop. So I'm sitting there going, like, okay, they picked up on some things, because Jared, like I said, Jared, his first step today,
Yeah.
and that first step on either one of the offensive tackles, he was just phenomenal today. Hoping, like I say, and just hope this keeps up. But it's kind of, you can be real upset, and it's kind of like you say, they didn't lose. I understand that, but I think that this, to me, and the way that the Colts had last season, they just basically just treated the Texans like a little stepchild, and just they abused them last year. And the way they were playing this year, they showed so much determination that literally, for 3 quarters there, I'm sitting there going like, this team could very well come out and win this game today, but turnovers or takeaways, and the point when Davis Mills was hit, and I think he mentioned something in this press that I was a little bit puzzled about. I don't think he needed to be pressed about it, but I think his clock. And he mentioned something about either holding the ball too long or not holding it soon enough.
Yep.
I think a couple of times that clock in his head's got to either, I don't know if it was on Central Standard Time, Mountain Standard Time, or Pacific Standard Time, but one way or another, particularly when he got down to that fumble, and because a couple of times there, he took the ball and he locked in on his number 1 receiver. He locked in on Cooks. And I think that was sort of the comment everybody else said, he didn't even go through his progression. So I'm not sure, it's a progress. It's a system in progress. Did he do some good things today? Yes. I'm not going to just kick him all out totally under the bus. But he done some things today. But when it came down to critical situation, to me, I thought I saw some regressions today.
Yeah. I would agree with you, and I know you and I talked about this. The biggest thing you mentioned, his feet, and how he changed the movement of his feet in the latter part of the game. And on those times that he held the ball, including the one with the fumble, I counted, because I do that every time I see a quarterback take a snap on a pass play. That play, I counted to 1,006 before he was hit. He should have been rid of that ball two seconds sooner. Now, that having been said, I don't want anybody to think that I'm blasting the guy either. He's doing a good job. He did a lot of positive things, like Lovey said in his press conference, to get the team to that 20-3 lead. And like Jerry Hughes said, we just got to close it out in the fourth quarter, and we didn't do that today. But hey, I want to make one quick sidetrack with you, and any Texans fans that might have been listening on Sirius XM to the Kansas City Chiefs Arizona Cardinals game like I was before we got on the podcast here will be interested in knowing this. Harrison Butker got an ankle injury for the Chiefs, couldn't kick off, and the Chiefs had Justin Reed kicking off the rest of the first half. He kicked off 4 times. One kickoff was taken at the 3-yard line. The other 3 were touchbacks. I had no idea Justin Reed had that kind of leg on him when he was in Houston.
Yeah, but hey, Elwin, now remember, you probably wasn't at that preseason game. The coach, I think it was their last preseason game, the year, when on the Cully, and Cully let him kick off. And then, in fact,
that one, yeah.
Yeah, in fact, because he came in, he was part of the presser, and and basically, everybody sort of was asking him, and he said, really, his first love was not necessarily football; it was soccer.
Yeah,
he was a big soccer fan, and so and the fact that him, being just soccer style. And the thing about it, and remember, Kansas City, I think it was the third preseason game, he did some kicking duties in the third preseason game.
Right.
So I'm glad that you brought that up as a sidebar note. But really, Justin Reed is earning. He earned his paycheck today. By the way, did the Chiefs win or did the Cardinals win?
Yeah, I'm very impressed with what he did. They're in the third quarter, by the way, now, and Kansas City is ahead 37-7.
Oh well.
It's a blowout.
Well, anyway, okay.
Yeah.
Let's not get in. Let's not get in trouble with the NFL. You start giving out scores on they'll track you down like harm missiles and start going like, you can't do that. Da. We're not doing play by play. So before somebody turn us in. No, you brought up a favorable point that you heard earlier today, but next week, what do we expect with them going to Denver? You sort of wondering, all right, is he gonna have to put some balm on these egos, or put some salve on these egos? Because you got young players, you got a nice group of veteran players, but you got some young guys there, and so I thought. The rookies accorded themselves quite well today, but when a team hasn't been winning, and all of a sudden things happen, this is when they start to show what kind of mental toughness that this team's going to have. So, guys like a Jerry Hughes in the locker room, and a few others who've been around, this is when they're going to stand up with their leadership. And then they're going to have to shake this puppy off, and they're going to have to get down and get ready to play some ball, next week. Because I guarantee you, if they were sucking wind this afternoon, and I know they played 5 quarters, when they get to Mile High Stadium,
Exactly.
they're going Cal and them might have to just put some oxygen tanks on the sideline for them.
That would probably be a good idea. And I was thinking, just as you were starting to talk about that. So great minds think alike. That with them getting gas.
Wait a minute, you calling us with great minds?
Yeah. That's today. They are really gonna have to suck it up mentally, emotionally, and like you say, have a Jerry Hughes and some of those veterans put that mental toughness in them, because it's gonna be tough by, I'm gonna say, early to mid-second quarter for any of those guys that have never played in Colorado at any level before.
Yeah, without a doubt. Hey, before I let you go, let me have put a word from my sponsor again, and then I'm gonna get a closing comments from you, and we get ready to wrap it up. Because folks down the line, Chris Gardner and Talking Rockets will come on the Houston Roundball channel, YouTube channel. I'm on both of them right now. But at 6:00, Chris Gardner will be getting ready to pick it up, and the folks who are sitting up there looking at. You don't look like Chris. None of y'all look like Chris. That's true. None of us do look like Chris.
No.
But Chris will be on at 6:00, and we'll be able to we'll be able to pick you up, and y'all will be able to just talk about hoops and everything else. But a word from our sponsor before Elvin get too far down the road.
Hello, I'm Ken Ross with the Ken Ross Insurance Agency. There are certain things that are important in our lives: our health, our safety, and our loved ones. With over 40 years of experience, I've seen just how important insurance can be. I value the importance of being a part of my community and being there when they need me. Insurance is important everywhere, but being here in South Texas, it is absolutely essential. From flood, home, auto, and life insurance, let the Ken Ross Agency be your agency of choice. Hello, I'm Ken Ross with the Ken Ross Insurance Agency. There are certain things that are important in our lives: our health, our safety, and our loved ones. With over 40 years of experience, I've seen just how important insurance can be. I value the importance of being a part of my community and being there when they need me. Insurance is important everywhere, but being here in South Texas, it is absolutely essential. From flood, home, auto, and life insurance, let the Ken Ross Agency be your agency of choice.
That's right, the Ken Ross Agency, 281-235-5952. Repeating again, 281-235-5952. That's the Ken Ross Agency. He's been my agent for, I'm not going to tell it because folks will may think I'm old. But I am. Who cares? I'm still living, and thank God for it. Elvin, as you roll down the road there, heading on into you're heading back to Gilmer. Closing comments on you, and I appreciate it. This segment here, we got to figure out somebody to sponsor your On the Road with Elwin.
Yeah, there we go. Well, closing thoughts. Again, I'm proud that the Texans fought the way they did. I'm proud that they found a way not to lose. And I'll simply say this. If they make the improvements that you expect to see an NFL team make, like Lovey mentioned in his press conference, in the next couple of weeks, if they make that much improvement next week as to what you would expect, I think they can give the Broncos a run for it and have an opportunity to maybe shock everybody even bigger than they almost shocked the NFL world today and pull off a win in Denver. I do believe this team, if they can stay healthy, has a realistic shot at being a whole heck of a lot better than anybody else thought they'd ever be this year.
Yeah, without a doubt. I was encouraged. During the preseason, obviously, the Texans weren't going to show their hand. But you know what? I'm impressed by what some of the play calling of Pep Hamilton today. And obviously execution is, you can call all the plays you want to, but I think at certain points, that critical times in the game, that you got to have better execution. I think they're going to get this worked out. I think the Texans will have all this worked out. So we'll see. Obviously Russell Wilson is going to have his hands full tonight because he's got to go back to Seattle. So it's going to be interesting to see how Russell is received going back home, because like I say, you and I both were sort of in Glendale, Arizona when they were going for the winning drive. And for some reason, somebody called a pass play instead of running the ball. But that's sort of like this water under the bridge, and that cow done already kicked over that bucket of milk. So we're not gonna rehash that again. Elwin, tell you what, man, I appreciate you as always. We'll be in touch, and have a safe trip the rest of the way. Elwin Henderson, the Gilmer Mirror. And as he heads back up to East Texas, as always, safe travel, Godspeed, and God bless. And be careful, man.
Thank you, brother. Have a great week. Enjoy.
You too now. Take care.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Bye. Yeah, folks. It's the Texans after last year, and after that after last year that 4-16 and being out there. I know some of y'all probably don't know what I have asked me how many games do I think the Texans can win this year. Well, guess what? That was one that didn't go to the negative column, didn't go to the plus column. So we know they can play. We know they can can get there and they can play competitively. So that's what we expect the Texans to do. They get ready to head up to Mile High Stadium. Uh, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and let's see what's going to happen. Let's see what the changes are going to come about this week. I'm pretty sure that the Denver scouts were there today. What they're going to take a look at, and so we'll get ready to see. So without further ado, those of you all who are on getting ready to take Chris Gardner on the Houston Round Ball review, and about clock is ticking down. So for those of y'all that didn't trying to figure out, no, again, I'm not Chris Gardner. I'm not going to even start there with Chris. I'm not going to say I'm the better looking one, but anyway, I'm just joking, Chris. Don't get out of hand. But everything being said, get ready for my friend, the man of the Houston Round Ball Review, and this has been your man, Adolphus A.D. Moore, from the corner. Again, your Houston Texans today. They didn't win. They didn't lose. It was a tie. And this is probably one time, I guess as the old adage, and I will say it again to be repetitive, somebody had to kiss their sister. And, well, guess what? This is probably one good time that hey, be glad to kiss sisters because that's part of your family, and we'll appreciate that. The new variant shots will be coming out real quick. Those of y'all that thought COVID was gone, guess what? It hasn't. Polio is making a comeback when we have eradicated because of whatever people were thinking. Folks, go get your inoculation. Go. Some of these things we have eradicated. Let's not get stupid and start bringing particular polio back when it has been eradicated. There's the vaccines are out for that. Let's go get them. Let's go take care of it and get things. I'm your man, Adolphus A.D. Moore from the corner. Wishing y'all good health, good peace. Ciao, peace, and I am out.